Hey friends, it's Sarah. Welcome to a Dinkum build. This is more of like a prototype build than it is an actual build video because we were all over the place. We did not have a plan. We just slapped this together by the seat of our pants. We had been working on SunnyAnn's island, and we had been working on her zoo area, and there was this section that I was like, hey, we should build a tree house. Or maybe Sunny said we should build a tree house. I can't remember which of us said we should build the tree house, but either way, that was the idea. And it was like, okay. And then one day we were just like, let's go do that. No planning, no nothing. So this is a lot of trial and error. And we kind of learned what not to do for the next time, because we're going to build one on SunnyAnn's island. This is my island, Laguna Springs. So yeah, lots of trial and error. And here we're just deciding, what fencing are we going to put around this thing? And after having done this and watched this and edited it together, I was just like, wow, there's so many other things we could have done. And this is what we did. That's what they call Monday morning quarterbacking. So I'm not going to do that. We're going to call this prototype and go from there. It was fun to build though. I will say that I'm not typically a just wing it sort of person. I mean, I am sometimes, but I usually have like a mental sort of picture. And this time I just had nothing. There was nothing up there. It was just vacant space. This was we just kind of started building it and doing it. And as you'll notice there, we're doing the place item command for the giant gumwood trees that are not officially in the game. And they are huge. They're huge. They take up 4 spaces. And when you go to cut them down, you have to find just the right square to stand in to cut them down, to get them down. But they were fun to work with. I will say that we placed these trees and replaced the trees probably 4 or 5 times because we just weren't liking the spacing or the height. And I think at one point later on, we decided that we do need to raise the tiles, maybe 3 or 4 tiles high where we're putting the trees, because it was just, do you see how it's encroaching into the livable space and it looks like a giant bush and not a tree. So yeah, we had to do a lot of figuring and changes when you don't have a plan. I mean, who am I kidding? Even the things we plan, we change because, that's just how it goes when you play Dinkum. But this was fun. We kept joking about, Swiss Family Robinson, and at one point we talked about having like smaller little sections off to the side with like stairs. But given my difficulty in creating a staircase, as you're about to see, I was like, well, that's probably a bad idea. I don't know what it is. The math just doesn't math for me when it comes to building a staircase. And I didn't want it to take up a ton of room. So we pulled our little trick that we did for the hotel and just made it up the side just like that. But once you get to where you kind of do the little switchbacks, I don't know, my brain just goes, yep, we no longer function. Sorry, does not compute. So the struggle was real. And when we figure out later on that this is just taking up way too much real estate on the beach, and we decide to shave a few tiles, like I think 3 rows back, and add 3 rows onto the backside of the build. When we go to recreate the staircase, I was like, I don't need to take a screenshot. I'll remember how to do it. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that hard. And then like 2 or 3 minutes in, I was like, Sunny, I should have taken a screenshot. I don't remember how we did this. What did it look like? Does anybody else do that? Because it could just be a me problem. But anyway, it was sort of funny. And also comical, just how difficult these kinds of things are for us. So anyway, I never said I was smart. So here you go. So it's about here that I decide that, yep, it's just taking too much space on the beach, and I don't like that, and I'd like to build it back a little further. So we add on to the back so we can shave down the front. And yeah, multiplayer issues and my crappy internet kept kicking SunnyAnn out of the game. Oy. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. That's part of the whole experience. I do know that there's quite a few things that when we eventually do build a version of this on Sunny's Island that I'd like to try and do differently. Things like maybe putting one of the big trees in the middle of the platform and building around it. Obviously putting trees around the outside too, but just, you know, wanting to see what that would look like. There's so many different things we can do differently now that we've done it. It's like, okay, this will look better if we do it this way. But I thought this would be a fun little, I don't know, behind the scenes glimpse into what it's like when you're not really building to build something. You're kind of building something to test things out, which is kind of what this was. And we kind of joked about it being, you know, a test run for the real deal later on. But I am happy with how it turned out in the end. Would I change some things about it going forward or in the future when we build it on Sunny's Island? Absolutely. But that's kind of also the fun, is that you can build different versions of the same thing depending on where you are and the theme of that particular island. So yeah, I think I'll probably screen record that and show you guys when that part 2 or that version, I'm not sure what we'll call it, but whenever we do one on Sunny's Island, I think we'll have to show you guys that version as well. The more sophisticated, more planned out version. Who am I kidding? We're probably not going to plan that one either. We're just going to be like, let's not do this again. Because that's pretty much our philosophy. I also realized way too late that I was starting the stairs like 3 rows over from where we initially started the stairs, and I couldn't figure out why it was ending up so weird. And so it's kind of embarrassing that it took that long to figure that out, because I was like, why is this not working out? This was lower. We had this extra space, you know. I live on the struggle bus, you guys, so you know this by now. It's fine. I mean, that's one of my charming personality quirks, right? We're going to go with that, even if it's not true. I'd appreciate the support regardless. I'm just kidding. So yeah, this is our struggle with the staircase. I mean, for real. I don't know why I have such a hard time with this. I was playing with a couple of other friends a couple weeks ago during a live stream, and we were building something, and we built a staircase up to it, and I got to a certain point where I was just like, something's wrong here. The math isn't mathing. Why isn't this working? And Susie had to come in. Not Sunny, but Susie had to come in and like, okay, I think I know how to fix it. And I was like, well, I've got to go. So you fix that. I'll come back later and we'll see how it is. And she fixed it. It was great. I can't build stairs alone, apparently, because, yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't have my brain just doesn't work that way, puzzle-wise. So here we are placing trees for like the 5,000th time, it felt like anyway, only to have to tear them all down because we're going to raise up the tiles around the platform that the quote treehouse is built on. And I sped this up a little bit more because it was like, holy moly, this is getting ridiculous with how many times we place these trees. I will say that if the big gumwood trees ever come to the game legitimately, for those who are needing wood, when you cut one of those trees down, you get like 20 pieces of wood, like straight off the bat. So that'll be nice if that ever comes to the game. It actually is a really cool design element. Sunny used it a lot in her zoo build. If you haven't seen her island tour, as if you needed any proof that she was a great designer, go check out her island tour. Jersey Games did a tour of her island not too long ago, and you guys should go watch it. It's amazing. So many great areas and ideas on her island. So go check that out after you finish this, and let me know what you think. About you guys, but when I was a kid, I would have loved for my dad to have built like a treehouse up in a tree. You know those movies where they have this very elaborately, wonderfully built treehouse up in these giant trees? Like, it kind of defies the laws of physics. Well, in my childhood brain, I was like, physics be damned, I want a treehouse, and never got one. But I don't know what it is about tree houses that are so like magical as a kid. Like, there's just something, it's like your own little space outside of the house. And for whatever reason, that's just super cool. So see how we raised all the trees up and it's not encroaching on the living space so much, and it doesn't feel like we're living in a bush, but in an actual tree. So that was a smart call. I'm glad we did that. It was a lot of work because I had replaced the trees like, I don't know, a half a dozen times, it seems like. And now we're just kind of decorating and moving things around and trying to figure out where we want to put things and place stuff. And yeah, so sit back and enjoy. I mean, it's not a build if I'm not setting myself on fire, right? I knew I wanted the fire pit in the middle. I felt like that was going to bring a little something to what we were doing. And Sunny was like, oh, just put them in the water. And then, you know, if we happen to walk through it, we won't, you know, we can put ourselves out of fire. That's not how you say that. We can put the fire out. There you go. But you can't place things in the water boxes unless it's plants. So there goes that idea. But we were pretty careful for the rest of this build. I think I was the only one that set myself on fire, which, you know, that's pretty much just how it usually goes anyway. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to place items or replace items and place them again until I get them the way that I like them. So that's what this is about. As you can see, it's a little, you know, chaotic and all over the place. Do you like how we use the compost bin for the toilet? A little humor there, haha. We are not the first people to think of that. That is not an original idea. I have seen that done multiple occasions on many people's islands, and it's always good for a laugh because we're like, aha, the compost bin as a toilet. And if we're being real, like, they have those composting toilets, you know, for the ecologically conscious. Wow, it took a hot minute to get that out. I actually know people who've had them in their RVs and in their houses. So, you know, it's not too far off reality. And hey, you're living in a tree, so you're not going to have plumbing. Compost toilet makes sense, right? So you have to kind of suspend a little disbelief here. You know, if you're living in a tree house, you're not really going to have such wonderful furniture. But we've got, you know, some limitations when it comes to those kinds of items in the game. I'm not even sure what we would do creatively to mimic that. I wish we had a hammock. That would have been cool. Like hammocks instead of beds. Because I feel like that's very treehouse, you know? So here we're just placing different types of trees to, you know, add more color and texture and height variation. Something I like to do with stuff like this, especially when you want it to feel really enclosed and, I don't know, kind of cut off from everything else and kind of creates a wall, if you will. think if I were to do this again, I would not build it so rectangular or square. I think I would like it to be a little more round. And since I've seen so many creators these days using pixel art and actually creating circles, you know, even in this, you know, block style of building, I was like, I feel like we could do that fairly easily. Here we're just kind of trying to put out some trees and plants and stuff to sort of block all of this wood and make it look a little more natural. Not sure if it worked, but you know, we gave it the old college try. Because, you know, we didn't have enough trees, so we're gonna put out some more trees. I say we. I have to do the place item command. It's my island. I'm hosting the game. Only the one hosting the game can typically access that. So just keep that in mind if you're playing in creative mode but you've never used the place item command. Only the one hosting the game can utilize that. It is a handy tool, especially when you're incredibly impatient like I am, especially for something like this where we weren't going to be playing, you know, too many in-game days. So, you know, were things going to be able to grow up in time. And also, too, the big gumwood trees, that's really the only way you can get them in is through the place item command. So, you know, once you do it with one thing, it's real easy to just keep doing it with all the other things. So here I decided that I did not like, I wanted the stairs to kind of have a railing and sort of a bookend to keep from seeing the rough edges. I feel like this looks a little more refined than leaving it exposed. It's just a personal aesthetic thing for me. If you like to leave it exposed, I say you do that. But I wanted something a little more polished. And here I'm probably gonna get stuck. Yep, got stuck. Now it's just for the finishing touches, and we'll be pretty much done with this one. Let there be light. I really do love the warm, soft light at night, especially from the tiki torches and the fire. It just creates a whole mood. And here I'm trying to decide on what we're gonna name it, and then we just went with something simple. So let's go through the final walkthrough. There's not a whole lot to walk through, but this is the end result. And, you know, despite it being a prototype build, I'm not too displeased with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, I really appreciate you guys watching the videos and leaving comments and liking the video. I you know, keep doing that. I love it. Thanks so much. You guys are great, and you've made this experience just absolutely delightful, and I've had a great time. Well, we're about to wrap this one up. As you can tell, the sun is setting. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Please be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.